Candace Owens just dropped a bombshell that has set conservative media on fire, and if her claims are even partially true, this could change everything. In a shocking statement, Candace suggests that people close to Charlie Kirk may have known far more than they ever admitted, including his own wife. Social media is spiraling as clips, old interviews, and cryptic comments are being re-examined with fresh eyes. Candace doesn't hold back. She questions timelines that don't add up, private conversations that were allegedly kept quiet, and inside knowledge that, according to her, never should have stayed hidden. Was there a warning that went ignored? Were signs brushed aside to protect reputations and power? Or is this another explosive accusation designed to fracture the conservative movement from within? Supporters say Candace is finally saying what others were too afraid to voice. Critics argue she's crossing a dangerous line with unproven allegations. But one thing is undeniable: the silence from Charlie Kirk's inner circle is getting louder. As rumors grow and pressure mounts, the question everyone is asking is simple: if they knew, why didn't they speak? Stay with us, because this story is unfolding fast, and the truth, whatever it is, may be far darker than anyone expected. In the modern digital age, controversy rarely waits for confirmation. It erupts, spreads, and hardens into belief long before facts have a chance to intervene. The recent online uproar involving Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk is a textbook example of how political commentary, algorithm-driven outrage, and audience mistrust can combine to produce explosive and often misleading narratives. While extreme claims have circulated widely, it is essential to establish a clear baseline. There is no verified evidence supporting allegations of murder, foreknowledge, or a criminal wrongdoing by Charlie Kirk, his wife, or anyone in his inner circle. Charlie Kirk is alive, publicly active, and continuing his work. What is real, however, is the cultural moment that allowed such claims to gain traction. Candace Owens built her public persona on confrontation and independence. Over the years, she has challenged mainstream media, clashed with progressive activists, and increasingly broken ranks with conservative institutions she once aligned with. To her supporters, this makes her credible, someone willing to say what others won't. To her critics, it makes her unpredictable and reckless, especially when her statements are clipped, reframed, or hinted at rather than fully explained. This dual perception is critical to understanding why even indirect remarks associated with her can ignite massive online reactions. Charlie Kirk represents a contrasting archetype within conservative politics. As the founder of Turning Point USA, he is focused on organization building, donor relationships, and disciplined messaging. His influence is institutional, not insurgent. Over time, that difference has created friction, with commentators who prize independence over structure. These tensions are not new, but they have intensified as political audiences grow more skeptical of organizations and leaders who appear too polished, too strategic, or too cautious. The current controversy did not begin with a formal accusation or documented claim. Instead, it emerged from reaction culture, edited clips, sensational thumbnails, and emotionally charged captions designed to maximize engagement. As these fragments circulated, viewers filled in the gaps with speculation. Ambiguous language was treated as implication. Silence was interpreted as concealment. And before long, a narrative formed that bore little resemblance to verifiable reality. This is not accidental. Social media platforms reward intensity, not accuracy. A measured explanation rarely goes viral. A shocking suggestion often does. Content creators understand this dynamic well. By framing stories with loaded language, even when no evidence exists, they tap into audience emotions and keep viewers watching. The result is a feedback loop where outrage fuels clicks, clicks fuel revenue, and nuance disappears. Another reason this narrative spread so quickly is the broader collapse of trust in public figures. Across the political spectrum, audiences feel betrayed by institutions that promise transparency and deliver disappointment. In such an environment, people are primed to believe that hidden truths must exist behind every polished image. When a leader's spouse or associates stay out of public drama, that absence is no longer seen as normal privacy. Becomes suspicious in the eyes of conspiracy-minded viewers. Candace Owens' role in this moment is complicated. She did not present verified evidence of criminal acts. Yet her critics argue that she understands how suggestion works in a viral ecosystem. A raised eyebrow, a rhetorical question, or a refusal to clarify can be enough to send third-party commentators into overdrive. Her defenders counter that she cannot be held responsible for how others distort or exaggerate her commentary, especially when she does not explicitly endorse extreme claims. Both perspectives highlight a deeper problem: the erosion of responsibility in public discourse. When influence is high and guardrails are low, even indirect speech can cause real-world harm. Reputations can be damaged, families dragged into controversy, and audiences misled, all without a single proven fact changing hands. It is also important to note how internal political fractures magnify these moments. Conservative media is not monolithic. It contains competing visions for influence, strategy, and identity. When figures representing different approaches clash, even implicitly, their audiences often interpret disagreement as betrayal. That emotional framing makes it easier for rumors to take hold, because they confirm a pre-existing belief that something is wrong behind the scenes. At this stage, separating fact from fiction is straightforward, even if it is unpopular. There is no evidence of murder. There is no evidence that Charlie Kirk's wife or associates possess secret knowledge of criminal acts. The most extreme claims originate from editorialized content and reaction-driven speculation, not from investigations, legal filings, or credible reporting. Treating these claims as anything more than internet rumor is irresponsible. Yet the story still matters, not because of what it alleges, but because of what it reveals. It shows how easily political communities can turn on their own. It shows how silence can be weaponized in a climate of distrust. And it shows how algorithms, not facts, increasingly shape public understanding. Perhaps the most troubling aspect is how quickly audiences move from skepticism to certainty. Instead of asking for evidence, many ask only whether a claim feels true. If it aligns with their frustration, it spreads. If it challenges their assumptions, it's dismissed. This emotional filtering is what allows misinformation to flourish even when reality is easily verifiable. Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk will likely move on from this episode, but the damage to discourse lingers. Each cycle like this lowers the threshold for belief, making the next rumor easier to accept. Over time, truth becomes just another option rather than the foundation as this controversy continues to circulate. The real question is not about hidden crimes or secret knowledge. It is about how political media became so dependent on outrage that speculation now competes with reality on equal footing. If audiences do not slow down, demand evidence, and resist emotional manipulation, stories like this will keep repeating louder, faster, and further removed from the truth. By the time a controversy reaches full viral momentum, facts often become irrelevant. What matters more is emotion, shock, anger, betrayal, and fear. This is exactly what happened in the Candace Owens-Charlie Kirk controversy, where speculation was amplified not by evidence, but by how modern social media systems are designed to work. To understand why unverified claims gained so much traction, we have to look beyond the individuals involved and examine the machinery pushing the narrative forward. The algorithm doesn't care about truth social. Media algorithms are optimized for one thing: engagement. They reward content that keeps users watching, commenting, sharing, and reacting. Calm explanations and factual corrections rarely achieve this. Dramatic accusations, however, especially those implying secrets, betrayal, or danger, perform extremely well once a sensational interpretation enters the system. Platforms begin recommending it to users who have previously engaged with political or conspiracy-adjacent content. This creates an echo chamber where the same claim appears repeatedly, giving the illusion of credibility. Viewers begin to think everyone is talking about this, so there must be something to it. In reality, they are often seeing the same recycled speculation presented by dozens of different accounts. The power of implication, one of the most effective tools in viral misinformation, is implication without assertion. Instead of making a direct claim that could be fact-checked or challenged, creators ask questions, raise eyebrows, or hint at things not adding up. This technique allows them to avoid responsibility while still planting an idea in the audience's mind. In this controversy, vague language was enough. Phrases suggesting that someone knew something or that silence speaks volumes were interpreted by audiences as confirmation of wrongdoing. Once that idea takes hold, every unrelated detail becomes evidence, even when it has no factual connection. Silence as a weapon traditionally. Silence from public figures was seen as restraint or professionalism. Today, it is often reframed as guilt. This shift is critical. This shift is critical. When Charlie Kirk or his associates did not immediately respond to viral claims, many online commentators interpreted that absence as confirmation. The reality is far more mundane. Engaging with baseless accusations often amplifies them. Legal teams and PR professionals frequently advise silence precisely to prevent further spread. However, in a culture trained to expect constant updates, silence feels suspicious. This misunderstanding fuels conspiracy thinking and allows narratives to grow. Unchecked, parasocial betrayal. Another reason this controversy resonated is parasocial. Relationships, one-sided emotional bonds. Audiences form with public figures. Supporters feel they know these personalities personally. When disagreements or perceived hypocrisy emerge, the reaction is emotional rather than rational. For some viewers, ideological differences between Candace Owens and institutional conservatives felt like betrayal. That emotional response made them more receptive to darker interpretations. Instead of seeing a political disagreement, they saw evidence of corruption. This emotional lens makes audiences vulnerable to extreme narratives because they are reacting to feelings, not facts. Reaction channels and the outrage economy. Significant amount of fuel came from reaction-based content creators. These channels thrive on responding to controversy rather than investigating it. Their success depends on speed, not verification. Once one creator frames a story dramatically, others follow to avoid missing out on views. Each reaction adds another layer of commentary, moving further away from the original source. Eventually, the rumor becomes the headline, and the lack of evidence is forgotten. This is how speculation transforms into everyone knows. The cost of misinformation. Everyone claims are false. The damage is real. Families are dragged into public suspicion. Reputations are stained. Trust erodes, and audiences become more cynical, believing that nothing is ever as it seems. This is especially dangerous in political discourse, where misinformation can fracture movements, radicalize supporters, and normalize distrust as a default mindset. The irony is that many people spreading these narratives believe they are seeking truth, when in reality, they are reinforcing a system that profits from confusion. What this moment reveals this controversy is less about Candace Owens or Charlie Kirk individually and more about the fragility of truth in the digital age. When algorithms reward outrage, when silence is misread as guilt, and when implication replaces evidence, any public figure can become the center of a false narrative overnight. The lesson is uncomfortable, but necessary. Virality is not validation. In the final part, we'll look at the long-term consequences of these cycles, how repeated exposure to unverified claims reshapes audience behavior, damages political credibility, and makes real accountability harder to achieve in the future. As the dust settles on the Candace Owens-Charlie Kirk controversy, It becomes clear that the story's significance lies less in the details of the rumor and more in what it reveals about modern media and audience behavior. Even though the most extreme claims lack evidence, the controversy has exposed fault lines in political discourse, trust, and the digital information ecosystem. Understanding these dynamics is essential, both for the public and for the figures who navigate these platforms. Reputation and trust under siege. One of the most immediate consequences of viral speculation is the damage to reputations. Public figures, their families, and associates can become targets of suspicion even when claims are demonstrably false. In this case, Charlie Kirk's silence and Candace Owens' pointed commentary created an environment where viewers filled in the gaps with their own narratives, even if the story is eventually debunked. The perception of wrongdoing lingers. Human psychology favors initial impressions, particularly when they evoke strong emotions. Once a rumor spreads, corrections rarely reverse the damage completely. This illustrates the high stakes of social media engagement and why public figures often need carefully planned communication strategies. Polarization and ideological fracture. Controversy also highlights the deepening divides within political movements. When supporters perceive disagreement or ambiguity as betrayal, minor conflicts can quickly escalate into larger ideological battles. Audiences are increasingly segmented, forming echo chambers that reward certainty over nuance. In such spaces, speculation masquerades as insight, and facts are filtered to fit preconceived beliefs. For Owens supporters, her critique may feel like principled bravery. For critics, the same words appear reckless and destabilizing. Both reactions demonstrate how the same content can reinforce existing polarization rather than foster understanding. Lessons for audiences there. Our practical takeaways from this controversy. First, audiences must distinguish between speculation and verified reporting. Just because a story goes viral or evokes strong emotions does not make it true. Second, emotional reactions should be recognized as a natural response, but not a substitute for evidence. Third, media literacy matters more than ever. Understanding how algorithms, engagement incentives, and parasocial relationships shape content can help viewers navigate online information more critically. Lessons for public figures. This incident underscores the importance of strategy, timing, and clarity. Silence may protect against amplification of false claims, but it can also be misinterpreted. Public statements must strike a balance between avoiding unnecessary attention and preventing speculation from spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, individuals with influence, like Candace Owens, must recognize how their words can be interpreted, sometimes far beyond their intent. The broader societal impact beyond individual reputations. This episode reflects a systemic challenge. The digital environment increasingly rewards outrage over accuracy. The rapid spread of unverified claims erodes public trust, not only in individuals but also in institutions, media, and political discourse itself. If audiences internalize the notion that nothing is reliable, the very foundation of informed debate becomes unstable in extreme cases. This environment can foster cynicism, radicalization, and the normalization of conspiracy thinking. Even when claims are false, their repeated circulation changes perceptions and expectations. Over time, the threshold for believing sensational narratives decreases, making society more vulnerable to misinformation in general. Moving forward, ultimately, the Candace Owens-Charlie Kirk controversy is a case study in how rumors thrive, how trust fractures, and how perception often outweighs fact in the digital age. While the story itself may fade, the lessons endure. Audiences must exercise critical thinking. Creators must consider the impact of their content. And public figures must navigate online ecosystems with awareness of both opportunity and risk. In the end, the takeaway is simple. Virality is not verification. Silence is not guilt. And speculation is not evidence. Understanding these distinctions is essential to preserving both individual reputations and the integrity of public discourse. This concludes the three-part analysis. The Candace Owens Charlie Kirk controversy has shown just how quickly speculation can spiral into viral sensation and how easily audiences can mistake rumor for reality. But here's the truth. The fastest spreading stories are not always the most accurate. Before sharing, reacting, or forming opinions, pause and ask yourself, what is verified? What is opinion? What is pure speculation? Your role as a consumer of media matters more than ever. Every click, share, or comment fuels the system that rewards outrage over truth. By demanding evidence and prioritizing reliable sources, you can help slow the spread of misinformation and create space for real accountability and informed discussion. For content creators and public figures, this is a reminder that influence carries responsibility. Words have power, and even indirect statements can ripple across millions of screens, shaping perception and trust. Thoughtful communication and transparency are not optional. They are essential. Engage critically, question boldly, and resist the urge to take viral stories at face value. In a world flooded with headlines, your discernment is your superpower. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and prioritize truth over sensationalism, because understanding the full story matters more than the shock value.